Hello. It's your friend, some asshole here. Now, before you start watching this video, I'll just explain to you that I had made this video once, and I had included some clips of Bob Ross painting from his show, The Joy of Painting, for some visuals, give you a little something to look at. And what happened was it was up for like a day or so, and then Jensen or Johnson, whatever, some dickhead Johnson media guys copyright claimed it for copyright infringement because I how dare I use a few clips of Bob Ross painting. So apparently fair use laws don't exist. I learned that today. I got a copyright strike on my account. That was fun. It was my first time. I was so nervous. So yeah, I edited the video. I censored all the nasty clips of Bob Ross. So nobody should be offended by it now. So we'll see if Johnson Media fucking whines about it and gives me another strike. So with that said, enjoy this shitty video. Remember Bob Ross? What a great guy, right? Painting his happy trees and talking in a voice that sounds like a sedative drug that's administered via sound wave. Yeah. That Bob Ross was both a relaxing motherfucker and great at painting is of no contest. But I'd like to introduce you to someone.
I like to harmonize top, bottom, like top here, higher maybe, fine.
Now, I know what you're asking yourself. Who the fuck is this Bob Ross ripoff? Well, if you're unfamiliar with this guy, his name is Bill Alexander. Who was he? Simply put, this guy was the painter guy before Bob Ross was the painter guy. Bill Alexander was the host of the painting show, The Magic of Oil Painting, before Bob Ross's Joy of Painting ever came onto the scene. And in fact, Bill Alexander was Bob Ross's teacher and was grooming the up-and-coming Ross to take over the show. Or was he? What's known for sure is that Ross, while stationed in the military in Alaska, was looking for someone that could teach him to paint. At some point in time, Ross came across Bill and became a student of his. Bill taught Ross his famous wet-on-wet painting style, which, yes, is where the famous happy trees originate from. But more on that later. The two were pretty tight, you could say. When Bill finally started ending his series, The Magic of Oil Painting, he announced, and I quote, "I hand off my mighty brush to a mighty man, and that is Bob Ross." Aww. Now, here's a bit of quick background on this mysterious Bill Alexander fellow in both The Magic of Oil Painting and The Joy of Painting. Bill Alexander is, as you might have been able to tell from his silly accent, hailed from the peaceful lands of Germany and basically is credited for popularizing the aforementioned wet-on-wet painting style to an American audience. His show, The Magic of Oil Painting, was basically just one big advertisement for his painting tools and supplies, known as Alexander Arts. Bob Ross's show was pretty much the same thing, an advertisement for Bill's painting supplies. Once these two titans of happy trees put their unstoppable tempest of raging, painting, comforting vocal tones together, they quite literally became too big for their own good. Here's what happened. Bob Ross basically supercharged demands for Alexander art supplies. Because of this, Bill's people basically told Ross that, since he's so damn successful himself, he should look into just making his own art supplies to run with Bill's. Ross, as we know, agreed to this. Now, unless you're a bit older or maybe just a bit learned, you may not have had any fucking clue who this Bill Alexander guy was before you started watching this dumbass video. There's a reason for that, and it's essentially because Ross just became way more fucking popular. There's a reason Twat does a big, stupid stream of Bob Ross's show where tools flock to say, "Happy tree gang, no, GG," and pretend to be funny like you, and why Bill Alexander only elicits a "who is that?" from you. Anyways, this whole split apart thing came to a boiling point when, during a 1991 Time magazine interview, Bob Ross basically went on published record to more or less deny, or at least not mention, depending on who you ask, that Bill Alexander was ever even his teacher. Ross's reasoning for this? Well, Ross was now $1 million industry when it came to his new Bob Ross painting supplies. What was intended as a student stands with the master turned into Ross, perhaps at the insistence of his business partners, cutting off all public ties to Bill because, as Ross put it, they were now each other's greatest business rivals. It seems that no amount of happy green trees can stand against the power of the mighty green dollar. Oh yeah, speaking of those happy trees, Bill was the one who came up with them. Ross took them for his own as he began his own painting career and then monetized them. Ouch. But don't get the wrong idea. We're just outsiders looking in, people. You just heard this information from a filter that was put through 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 who knows how many filters before, and none of those filters probably ever knew the whole truth to begin with. What we do know is Ross took on his own at the urging of Bill's people and then severed ties to his old friend and mentor, at least on a public and business level. At face value, and by Bill's own reaction of, in his words, feeling betrayed, it makes it look like Ross did a pretty shitty and greedy thing. But you have to look at the bigger picture. Maybe Ross was just prodded to not really bringing up that Alexander taught him because you could see how that would hurt Ross's business, yeah? Ross saying, oh yeah, this fucking guy right here, he taught me all the shit I know. Like, yeah, who would want to buy Boob Ross's shit when they can get the premium cuts from the motherfucker who taught him? Is it Ross's fault he became so major, even eventually growing larger and longer lasting than Bill ever did? Did Ross, behind closed doors, always think of Bill as his teacher and the one who helped him achieve what he achieved? Did they ever reconcile? Well, Bill Alexander, although having passed away in 1997, 2 years after Ross, who went to that big happy tree in the sky back in 1995, still has a YouTube channel these days under Alexander Art, which I'll link in the description. Now, while it'd be pretty fucking metal if the channel were the work of a reanimated zombie corpse of Bill, it's actually just some of his people from the still existing Alexander Arts company. You can glean some insider information about Bill and Ross's history together from some of the comments Bill's people leave on the videos, and from what it seems, they're pretty open and happy to answer questions posed by commenters. So, head over there if you want to chase this story a little further. From what I gathered from some of the comments, Ross and Bill more or less ended on bad terms. Shucks. This all just leaves one lingering question. If Bill was just as good and just as relaxing as Ross ever was, why did Ross get his own Twitch marathon while Bill has been largely forgotten about? Well, I think the answer is simple. While researching this video, I came across an article, which I'll link in the description, that actually gives a pretty clever answer to this, and it pretty much boils down to not what the two men painted, but how they painted. Alexander, as this article tells, was a man who was fiery passionate about what he painted, and just watching some of him on the Alexander Arts channel really shows this. He was relaxing as well, but still had an air of energy and craft about him that you just didn't see in Ross. Ross, in contrast, was a bit slower and even more laid back. Painting to him wasn't a gentle explosion of passion and artistic theory, but something you did after you got more baked than a fucking cupcake. He always wore the same clothes, always had his happy little fro, which, funny enough, came about because he originally kept it perm to save on hair care costs, and eventually got stuck with keeping it when his producers told him it had become an icon of his. He taught us there were no mistakes, just happy accidents. Also, he stole Bill's trees. Those are Bill's trees, man. You stole them. To put it simply, as the article does, Bill was the European and Ross was the American. So, what do you think, eh? Was Ross a greedy fuckfence who cast his old friend and teacher down in order to achieve his own personal growth? Was Bill simply unhappy the student had supplanted the master? Will you ever care or think of either of them ever again after you watch this video and make a comment about how you're the biggest fans and love them? I mean, what do you think? It's not like I give a fuck, man. This is up to your ass to answer. Argue about it in the comments below, and be sure to go off topic and bitch about religion and politics so you can incite a flame war and bring more subsequent returns to my videos so I can farm more views. Good night, America.